Welcome to Dubbzi Bricks, and we have a different type of video today. I had a company called LETBRICKS get in touch with me recently, asking me if I'd have a look at their products. Now, first of all, I'd like to say I am 100% a purist when it comes to Lego. I will not use any fake bricks at all in my Lego City or on my mocks, just the way I am. But this company reached out and said they do Lego compatible bricks and products, and would I be interested in having a look at them? Now, I did say yes to them due to the theme, and the reason being is they do something that Lego refuse to make, and that is military base vehicles. And here we have it to review, and it is the CH53E Transport Helicopter. Now, I was really interested to see what this was like, not for the actual Lego bricks themselves. As I said, I only use Lego, but I was really impressed by how this looked. Now, apparently, this company, they work with several different mock builders. They say they are fully licensed to do the product they did. So the reason I said yes is I really do love helicopters, and I really wanted to make this particular helicopter. there we have it, the CH53E Transport Helicopter. So what are my thoughts on this set? I have to say this is a fantastic looking build. I think it's for the slightly more advanced builder. You can tell this was created by a mock builder. There's something about the style of the build and the attention to detail that's different to any Lego set I've ever made. The build quality is top notch and is as good as any other set I've ever made. The creator is really a talented builder. You can tell that instantly just by looking at this build. Now, I'm not a helicopter expert, however, the build has so much detail in it, it's so impressive. I can imagine it's spot on to the real thing. Now, there are some functions on the build. You've got a rear hatch which comes down, the front undercarriage goes up and a plate covers it. However, I did find it was very hard to get the undercarriage back down again. I had to actually use something to prise it back down to get it back into the landing position. Now, the rotary blades, they're on a ball joint, so they don't actually rotate, but they do tilt. So it does make it a little bit more realistic to the real thing, and you can have a little bit more posability with it. Also, the top of the build comes off, so you can see the interior of the vehicle, so that's all good. There is a sticker sheet included, however, I'm not a massive fan of stickers, so I've left them off. But all in all, the building experience was thoroughly enjoyable, and there's some great techniques on there, and I'd love to see what else the builder has designed. Now, the instructions for me, they were not the easiest on the eye, but that may be just because I'm used to Lego instructions. There were no errors in the instructions at all, so it's just purely down to the style, and I think it may be due to the presentation. The instructions show the part that you've already completed in a sand blue colour, and it just shows the colour of the new pieces to be added in the correct colour. And I just found that I was having to pay that little bit more attention to detail to where the pieces had to go exactly. It wasn't just crystal clear for me, right, that goes there. So yeah, but I think that's possibly just down to me. Now, one minor criticism, this really is a minor criticism, is the set came in 6 bags, which had numerous smaller bags within it, and I think this was too few. It would have been much better to have had twice as many bags, so you didn't have to spend so much time sorting through the bags to find the piece that you needed next. Now, the quality of the bricks is an interesting one. I did find that the clutch power, how well the bricks stick together, to be stronger than Lego. Now, this would be very handy if you're building something that has got a lot of weight hanging down from it. However, it does also come with a negative side. There are some cases where trying to get the two parts clipped together was very difficult, and the cockpit, for one, was very hard to get connected to the fuselage. So sometimes it can be a little bit of a burden having things that are that little bit too stiff. Now, with the rotary blades, they use a hinge piece. Now, at first glance, I was wondering, why would you use a hinge piece here when a 4x1 plate would do exactly the same job? However, by using the hinge piece, what it means is if you remove the grille piece on the top, you can then push all the rotary blades backwards to enable you to display this on the shelf. Because at the moment, if you have the rotary blades out, you're going to need quite a deep shelf because this thing is a beast. However, you've only then got one stud connecting the rotary blades to the assembly below, and they are quite heavy, so I'm not sure that it's such a good design having them like that. It would probably be better off to put a hinge piece on both the top and bottom as opposed to having the grille piece on there. But again, it may have been due to the look of it. It wouldn't have made it accurate to the source material, I'm not sure. But the other problem with these hinge pieces were that 4 of them had the greatest of difficulty clipping them together. I actually had to put them on a table and then force them down using a brick separator because I couldn't do it with my fingers. The other 2 was so loose that as soon as I picked it up, it just fell apart. So they do need to work on the quality of that part. Whether it's something that they've already done, I'm not sure. But yeah, that was just the only problem I had with the quality. There were 2 pieces missing from the set, a tyre and a 1x8 black rail plate which went on the rotary blades, and I have contacted LETBRICKS and they said they get them sent out straight away, so you can't complain about that. It happens with other brands, so yeah, it's just one of those things. Luckily, I did have a Lego tyre which fits perfectly on, so I was able to substitute that, and the same with the 1x8 door rail. I'm sure I've got one somewhere, so I will be able to complete it on there. Now, the price of this model today is €86.39, and if you use the code DUBZIBRICKS, you get an additional 15% off of that price. So it really is fantastic value for money. I mean, this thing, as I said, is a beast. I mean, here it is next to a Lego dropship to give you an idea of size, and when you consider what you can get these days for your money, this really is exceptional. LETBRICKS really have created an amazing set here. Now, I'm a Lego purist. I've never purchased a non-Lego branded set, and I'm very unlikely to do so in the future. However, when you can pick sets up for this, for this price and this quality, which overall is very good, I can understand why people would purchase things that are non-Lego, especially if you're into the military vehicles, which Lego refuse to make. I know that there are some military vehicles out there that I would love to have on display in my Lego room. So who knows, one day I may be tempted. Anyway, I'd just like to say a massive thank you to LETBRICKS for sending this out to me to review. It was great fun building it, and I'm sure anybody else would have just as much fun. Anyway, hope you've enjoyed this review. If you have, please give the video a big thumbs up. If you haven't already done so, please consider subscribing to the channel and hit the notification bell so you don't miss any future content on the channel. And have a good day. Thanks for popping on by. Bye-bye.